Hello, and this is Chris Wall coming to you from Chris's Caribbean Delights, YouTube.com. Um, I'm coming to you tonight with a wonderful recipe. It's a dish that I enjoyed a few years ago when I was in Brazil, and I decided and I loved it so much I tried it several times. But it's a braided salmon stuffed with crab, lobster, and shrimp meat. So for that, we're going to need, obviously, a nice large piece of salmon. And then we're going to need some shrimp. We're going to need a couple of lobsters, lobster tails, and we'll season them all and put it together, and it's going to be delectable. So let's go to the ingredients for that. Stuffed salmon with lobster, shrimp, and crab. Well, as you can see, I have already seasoned my salmon with a little bit of garlic powder, some thyme, some dried thyme and dried oregano, and I had it sitting in the refrigerator. You'll see I have salmon into three strips. You don't have to disconnect the whole thing. You can leave the tip on, like you can leave the tip together, and as you make your even slices, your vertical slices down, you can leave that on. That holds it. That would hold it together. But I had taken it all apart. So, but no problem. And you'll do just a regular braid of over, under, over, and under. So we'll start and get our braid going. Start from this side. And we can bring this over. Bring that over. And put it under, keeping the top together. And then you'll bring this over, and then you'll put that under, and then you'll just keep these together. So what I would usually do, I would get a skewer and just click it. So depending on how long your salmon is, you might not have to like use a skewer. And that just holds it together here. Okay. And now, if you need to put any blackened seasoning, or if you need to put any Old Bay seasoning, you can just do that. You season it how you want to season it. Okay. So our salmon is braided. Now we're going to place this on our baking sheet, and we'll go from there. I'll show you the other ingredients. On our baking sheet, I'll just sprinkle some extra virgin olive oil before I place the salmon on there. And remember, you season the salmon on both sides, remember. And we'll just gently move it over to the baking sheet. Okay. Now we'll be back. So we'll have the braiding process going. And now with that, we have some seasonings. My go-to seasoning, my little thyme. You sprinkle that on there. I have some paprika already on there, and some creole seasoning. We'll just put some creole seasoning on there, just a little, and some oregano and thyme, complete seasoning. Some complete seasoning, and some bouillon seasoning, because you don't want to overwhelm it, because there's a lot of other stuff that's going to go on top of this salmon. So just lightly season that. Okay, and next we can season our shrimp. This is our shrimp here. I did some nice large tiger shrimp, and I butterfly them a little. I butterfly them, and so that they can sit properly on the salmon. So we just lightly season these also. A little complete seasoning, some creole seasoning, a little bit of oregano and thyme, a little bit of bouillon seasoning, and everything has been washed, cleaned. I deveined the shrimp and everything. The salmon has been cleaned and prepped and everything. So we just give this a turn. This is our shrimp. Give our shrimp a little mix so to get that seasoning all over, and we set that aside. Now the lobster, we'll just get some more, just some of that complete seasoning, a little bit of creole, a little bit of bouillon, some hot pepper flakes. Should put some hot pepper flakes on the shrimp also. Okay, yeah, just keep the heat going, and we'll put some thyme on here and on the shrimp. Okay, so now we'll just turn these lobster tails a little and set them aside. So the shrimp is ready. The shrimp is ready. The lobster is ready. The salmon is ready, and we're going to put together our crab mixture. I love the lump crab meat. I use the lump crab meat a lot, and it's already picked and picked through and everything to make sure that there are no shells in there and stuff like that. But you can just go through it again before you put it in this thing. So I buy the lump crab meat, because nobody wants to buy crab and then boil it and then do all that stuff. Okay, so we're going to do a mix first for the crab mixture. So let me get a little spoon so that I can spatula so I can mix this up. Okay, so for our crab mixture, we have our lump crab, but we'll make that liquid that we need to mix that crab in. So we get 2 eggs. We need 2 eggs for that. Get 2 eggs. I'm going to put the mustard in here. A little bit of mustard, 1 tablespoon of mustard. And I'll leave those measurements. Then we'll get a 3/4 cup of mayonnaise. 3/4 cup of mayonnaise in here. And then we'll go with some complete seasoning, because everything needs to have flavor. Some creole seasoning. Also some bouillon seasoning. I think I need something a little more sturdy to stir this up. Okay. Yeah, give that a stir with that. So we're going to season here. We're going to make sure everything is incorporated. Make sure everything is incorporated here. We'll give this a nice whisk, and we put a little bit of thyme in there, some hot pepper flakes. Cool. And we're going to give this a good mix, and then we'll come back and add our breadcrumbs and our crab meat. So I've given this a good mix, and I've just added some of the breadcrumbs to it. But you don't want it to water. You need it to stick to the crab. Once you put the crab in there, you need it to stick to the crab. So you'll put some more breadcrumbs in here and then stir that in. And then you'll find as you go along, it's going to get thicker and thicker, because the breadcrumbs is going to be swelling, you know, to absorb the liquid. So it's just a 3/4 cup of breadcrumbs. You may need or you may not need all of it. See, you don't want it running off the spoon like that. You don't want it running off the spoon like that. So let's put the rest of the breadcrumbs in there and see if we need any more. We may not need any more. I think this is perfect. It's not running. It's just lightly dripping off of the spoon. Okay. And now we'll just put our crab meat in here. Our lump crab meat. And you just fold it into the mixture. Just fold it into the mixture. And then we'll come back and see if we can make it into some patties. You know, it has to be able to hold together so that you can place it on the salmon. So we'll come back and check on that. So here we are. You just need to pick some up. I think it's still a little too soft. It's holding together, but I think I needed with a little more body than this. So I'm going to get me some more breadcrumbs, maybe another 1/4 cup, and we'll add it to the mixture. So I did add I added actually another half a cup of breadcrumbs. And you see, you must be able to roll it like that in your hand. Like if you're gonna make a crab cake, that's the consistency you need. So because we're gonna just lump it together and put it on the salmon. So it must stay together. It has to stay together. So okay. So preheat your oven for 400. Preheat your oven for 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Because once you got all your mixtures together, all your items seasoned and made, the crab, the shrimp, and the lobster, and you seasoned your salmon, we're gonna cook the salmon at 400 for 10 minutes. Just set your timer for 10 minutes, and you're gonna put it in there once in your preheated oven. Preheat your oven for 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and you'll put the salmon in there for 10 minutes. That's like a pre-cook. You want to start that salmon because it's thick, and the other stuff, it's not going to take very long. So preheat the oven for 400. Once it gets to that temperature, you put the salmon in there for 10 minutes. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to get our put the salmon in, get our timer going for 10 minutes, and we'll see. We'll take it out after that and continue to the next step. I did not forget to tell you about the lemons. The lemons are going to go on the salmon before we put it into the oven. So we're going to just, the lemons we sliced, we're going to just tuck them under. Just tuck them under here. Just to give it a raise, just to let it raise for a little bit. You know, it's already sitting on some EVOO, so yeah, you just want to tuck it under, and then you want presentation also, so you just let some of the salmon, some of the lemon, let it show. So for this piece of, I used 2 lemons. I sliced them thinly. Okay, and I always like to take the what's left of the top, just squirt it over here. And the tail of the lemon, just squirt it over. So now this is ready. Our butter that we mentioned, our butter is going to be melted. I'll melt my butter, but this is all for the end, for when we're going to finish it off in the oven. So I squirt my lemon, set my lemons up, and we're going to put this in the oven for 10 minutes at 400. Okay, I'm now setting the timer for 10 minutes, and we're going to start right now. Okay, so we are 10 minutes, we'll be back. So we're actually pre-cooking the salmon because it's thick, it's nice and thick, and you give it the first 10 minutes in the oven so that it's going to start cooking through. And then once we put the other stuff on there and we stuff it with the crab and the lobster and the shrimp, and then it's going to go back in the oven at 400 for another 20 minutes, so 20 or 25 minutes. But you will see when it's done. And before you put it back with the stuffing on it, you melt that butter and just pour that butter on there. And it's going to be just going all over the place. It's going to be delectable. Okay, so 10 minutes, and we'll be back, and we'll show you the next step. Bear with me. It's going to be wonderful. So here we're 8 minutes into the first cook of the salmon, and it's nice and getting opaque. So that's cool. That's wonderful. So it has been 10 glorious minutes in the oven, and it's starting to cook and get opaque. So we don't have much more to do. So once it gets a little cooler, we'll start placing the rest of our ingredients on the salmon. So I'll be back. Okay, so now it's cooled down for a little bit, and so we're going to do our stuffing now. We're going to put our crab, our lobster, and our shrimp on there. So we'll just go like if we're going to make a crab cake, you know, once it holds together like that, and you just start from the top or the bottom, it doesn't really matter. Kind of spread it over. Put it together. kind of spread it over and just make sure it gets into the crevices. So you kind of would want to like press it down a little. Okay. Just want to make sure you press it down and it gets into the crevices. Put it together, spread it out a little, and just place it on there. Cool. So this is our crab meat. Our crab meat stuffing we are putting on the salmon here. This is our crab meat stuffing. We cover the entire salmon with the crab meat. Even the sides, even the front. Just make sure we cover the entire salmon with the crab meat. Okay? Okay. Next, we have our shrimp. Our shrimp and lobster. Because what you're really going to do here, you're going to entwine the lobster with the shrimp. So I put a first piece of lobster there, another piece of lobster there, another piece of lobster here. Okay, put another piece of lobster here. Just set it the way you want it. Okay. Now the shrimp. You see, I butterflied the shrimp so that they can open and kind of lay flat. So I'm going to lay the shrimp head to tail, and just lay them across. If you want, you can leave the lobster out. I mean, you know, don't lay it on the lobster. You can, or you know, if you want, or if you don't. But I kind of just like the lobster to show, because you know it gets that nice bright orange color. So all that you take into consideration. You can take that into consideration also, and just place the shrimp in between the lobsters. Okay, place the shrimp in between the lobster. Okay, I think we got them all in here. We got them all in here. Wonderful. Okay, We'll be back. Now you've seen my construction and my collaboration here. We're just gonna pour this. I have garlic butter. I grated garlic. I melted the butter, grated some garlic in there, and we're gonna just pour this garlic butter all over this wonderful salmon stuffed with salmon stuffed with shrimp and crab, and lobster. So, okay, don't worry about all the stuff that's at the bottom here. We're gonna come back and we're gonna glaze, not glaze, but we'll just get a nice. We'll just base. We'll base. Okay, so now it goes back into the oven, 400 degrees, and for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until it's nice and golden brown. Okay, so I'll be back. So our salmon is in the oven, 400 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 20 to 25 minutes, because I stuffed it really well. So I'm going to give it an extra 5 minutes, but I'm checking on it ever so often. I checked it on 10 minutes. I checked it on 12 minutes, and I'm going to check it again maybe on 15. It's getting nice, and it's getting that tone, that tan. It's getting a tan, like if it's in Florida, like if it's in Miami. But it's working. So yeah, this dish came to me in Brazil, which was a few years ago, and I never taught any. I didn't think about it at that point, because I wasn't. At that point I wasn't thinking about cooking. So, but then it just kept coming back to me into my mind, and then there was a flash of a restaurant that did it here. So I said, you know what? Let me look into this. So I looked into it, and I fell in love with it again. So I made it, and I'm gonna share that recipe with you, and I'm gonna give you all the directions in the notification box below. Now this is the final product. Now you got your shrimp, you got your lobster, your shrimp, and then your salmon is on there. It's fantastic. It's delectable. It's delicious. It's awesome. Now, I'm just gonna cut a small piece so that we can do a taste test. But I just want you to see how beautiful this comes out. Comes out really beautiful. Once again, I thank you for watching. Thank you for your support, and I thank you for bearing with me with these long videos. But we have to put the time in if we need to know all the ingredients and how to work it. So I will be doing long videos. So hey, I thank. So here you go, guys. You see the salmon in the bottom. In the middle, there's the crab cake mixture, and then on the top you have the shrimp and the lobster. That's the lobster and the shrimp. It's nice and layered. I have to do this again, and I'll do another technique for it. So I'll be coming to you with another braided stuffed salmon with shrimp and crab meat. This one is a braided stuffed salmon with shrimp, crab, and lobster. And I'll come to you again with another technique. Another braided stuffed braided salmon with another technique. I'll probably do it in a few weeks or maybe for Thanksgiving.